Hello everyone. This is Zafar Abundance Wala, and you're watching Abundance Show on Global Abundance Organization TV, Cow TV. And once again, we are blessed to have Concepta with us. Concepta, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Concepta Magnamera, and I'm reside in Massachusetts. And thank you for this opportunity. I'm a relationship coach, and I've just published my third book, which I'm really excited about. And I think today we're going to discuss something to do with relationships. You want to help me get started on where you want to focus on today?
Concepta, today I like to request you to please open up the mystery about love. What role does it play in relationship?
Wow, the mystery of it. It took me a while to figure out what it was. Growing up, I really didn't see it expressed, and the love that I thought was expressed really wasn't very helpful later on. Because I grew up in a place where affection wasn't expressed, and I don't think I heard "I love you" from my dad until I was probably 24, which is not unusual in that generation and in that country. And it probably took me maybe 30, 40, 30 something years for me to actually truly love myself, like to really be able to look in the mirror without judgment and criticism and complaining, to really love the inside. I had really judged myself on my experiences. And I did have some unpleasant experiences growing up. And I really believed I was my past, I was my shame, I was my guilt and all of that. So I really I wouldn't know what love was if it tripped me. I look back now and I think that the men that did care about me and love me, I had no foundation for it. So I really had no desire. I thought they were too nice. That would be my attitude. Oh, they're too nice. I wanted someone that was, you know, treated me like how I felt about myself, which was not loving and not respectful. But it took many, many years of therapy and coaching and energy work and whatnot to get to the place today where the love that I have in my relationship is just so natural. I met a wonderful soul probably 7 or 8 years ago at this point. Now, prior to that, I did love people, and some of it was very genuine, but there was also flavors of obsession and flavors of jealousy, and for me, that felt like love. And I really thought the love that had obsession with it and control and jealousy was like really love. When somebody wanted to know where I was all the time and know what I was doing and who I was talking to. I'm like, oh my God, he loves me so much. And it was so not love. To me, today is love, is respect. Love is me just saying to my partner, I'm going to grab something to eat with a male friend of mine. I'm going to play golf with another male friend. I have female friends also, but it doesn't matter. I always get the same thing from my partner is, enjoy yourself, have fun, hope you play well. I also do photography with different people. I'm always meeting different men and women, out and about, and I'll come back and tell him about them. And he has a beautiful ability to love, probably more so than I do. Um, he's been married a couple of times, so it's not as if he was wonderful at relationships when I met him, but we're figuring it out together. He's also got three beautiful daughters. So I think he's had a lot more experience of love. Like I know you and I have talked about your kids and that love you have for them, the unconditional love, and you still love when they're like leaning on you. And so that love is very easy to feel. It's the same kind of love I think you get from animals. I've had two Goldens in my life and I felt unconditional love. So love can be felt in so many ways. I have a love for photography. I have a love for being in nature. To me, love today is something that is inside of me. And if I don't have the ability to love, then I can't receive it. So I would apologize to anyone I've ever met up until my 40s that tried to love me. I had no place for that to land. Can you relate to that?
As long as kids love or like mom and dad, it's really profound. It's really profound. I do. It's unconditional, as you said already. Uh, but I mean, other than mom dad love and kids love, it's it where meanings could be different than words. So that's tough. I mean, yeah, I do relate to the kids unconditional love. Yeah, I do.
Mm.
And okay, what is love to you? I mean, that's why I mean, generally, I mean, as you told us academically, how been your experience? How you, what's your perspective of the love?
I think being with someone that I feel loves me, there's a sense of safety is probably the most obvious one for me at the very beginning when I started dating Steve. Safety was really important. Compassion, attraction, kindness, acceptance was huge, acceptance of who I was and what I like to do. And just learning to allow one another to walk our own paths individually and yet together. Love and also is about supporting one another. Like we're in two very different fields, and he gets so excited sharing about what he's done and what he's accomplished, and I'm so excited for him. I don't even understand most of the time what he does. Um, Obviously, I don't go home and talk about clients, but I will talk about certain parts of it. And he is very, very supportive of my writing, supportive. So being supportive is such an important part of love and respect as far as I'm concerned. And it really is, how we feel about ourselves in that other person's energy. I think that's a real gauge for me also. I can be in an elevator and there's a lot of people in there and I everyone feels safe. But I've also been in an elevator where there's one or two people and they don't feel safe. I never have the opportunity to find out if they are or not. But to me it's like it's an energy you feel for someone. And I think when you first meet someone and you're more immature compared to how I am today, I think that love is all about infatuation and the gifts he buys me and how many times he calls me and that's all really beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it lasts. It might with some people. I I don't think we drive each other crazy when we walk in the door. I mean, we smile and always greet each other with a kiss and that's a beautiful thing. But I do think, had I met him years ago, I would think it'd be a lot more butterflies and excitement. And I've experienced that, and it was wonderful. But then, as you mature, so does your understanding of love and your ability to love. And to me, it's so much more calm now. It's so much more peaceful than it is having those crazy butterflies. And then there's times that the immature part of me misses that crazy butterflies. But to have the safety, the trust, the honesty, like honesty is really important. There's really nothing I do or don't do that I wouldn't come home and share with Steve. I don't ever have to like tell him, make up some story about where I'm going because I know I'm not doing there's nothing I would do behind his back that I wouldn't do in front of him. He just doesn't want to sit with me for 5 hours as I take photographs of owls, and I don't blame him. So I'm not going to even ask him to come anymore. So love is not just, it is a feeling, of course, but it's also action, and people have different ways of feeling loved. I think that's really important also. There's a I forget who wrote it, but it's about love language. And there's several different types of love language. Some people could feel love by receiving gifts. Other people feel love by affection. Other people love by affirmations. And let's say I was someone that felt loved from, receiving gifts. And if I had a partner who would much prefer to just show me, then I probably wouldn't feel loved. Yet he would be giving me love. So it's really important. And I think it's important to learn that about one another. We have to learn it about yourself first. Everything starts with yourself. You really have to learn about yourself because how can you ever let someone in and let someone know you if you yourself don't know? And I work with people and I ask them what I think are very basic questions about themselves, and they're like, "I don't know, I never thought of that." Like, it blows me away that people haven't taken the time. You know what kind of food you like, you know what you like to drink, you know what clothes you like to wear. I'm like, "Well, how do you react to being confronted? How do you react to, you know, s there's, like, a million different questions going on in my head, but I'm glad you're back with me because 'cause I'd much prefer to, engage with you. I think you have mute yourself.
Okay, okay. How about
Oh,
validation? You know,
how about I can't hear you. Oh,
can you
yes,
turn
now
it
I can.
off?
Yes,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay. So generally, people keep asking about the validation. They want to listen. They say if you love me, then you have to express it too, and then they want you to perform certain tasks too. So and still they are not happy with this, and they want certain gifts, and the gifts should be very costly ones, should be different ones. The flowers are no more in, things that. So how about, I mean, if someone can't afford, then how to take the ride then?
Again, it's about communicating with one another. I mean, obviously, if you're with a partner and you know they can't afford, a Mercedes for you or a diamond ring or, some expensive suit, and then more than likely, if you can't afford that, they might be with someone that can afford that. So it's less about, the gifts they want. Um, some of that could be because they're insecure. We can go down so many rabbit holes with that question. But again, when you're dating someone, ask them, how do they feel loved? How do they feel special? How do they feel valued? How do they feel seen and heard? One woman could feel valued if the husband did the dishes after dinner. Another woman could feel valued if her husband brought home a bunch of flowers. Another woman could feel valued if the husband massages her feet. I mean, or someone that runs the tub for her, or there's a whole number of things, and everyone's different. And I do try to find out, if I'm working with a couple especially, I will ask him what he knows about her, and I'll ask her what he knows about him. And it all starts with yourself. And if you yourself don't know how to make you happy, what your needs are, how can you ever teach someone? And you learn this when you're dating. You don't figure this stuff out after you're 5 years married and you got 4 kids running around. Like, this is stuff that should be really, like, worked out before you ever come together. I can't hear you.
My part of the
I
world,
Oh,
can you hear
okay, I
me?
got you now.
Again,
Yes.
this part of the world, we see dating to very negative context. We see as if someone is taking, that means they are taking a girl to a dinner, and then they'll have intercourse together, and then that's it. And that's what we call dating. What is dating actually?
And it could be what you're just describing. So again, it's different. Like I grew up in a country where my parents never dated. They were just match made and married, and then 6 kids came along. But I also have a beautiful niece right now who has been on 2 dates, met him the first night in a nightclub, and then they had dinner, and hopefully they'll have many, many more dinners and talks and walks, and, I always say to especially young people, if this is someone that you're gonna be with, you'll have years of having sex. Get to know who you're sitting across from before you wake up next to them. And I know that's hard to do when the chemistry is there and she's gorgeous and you're handsome and it's like you become kind of stupid and taken over by just hormones and feelings and then like 3 months later you're learning stuff about them and you're like complaining and bitching and whatever the case may be. And meanwhile it's like, well, you did not give yourself or them time to get to know one another. So what you're describing about and it's fine, there's plenty of people that'll go out to dinner and wanna wake up together and go separate ways. Nowadays, that's probably maybe more common than not. But really dating is getting to know who you are in this relationship, getting to know the energy is a fit. Like when I walk away, and there's been plenty of times I've been on first dates and only first dates, but when I walk away from someone, whether I spent, a half hour on a hike or walking or a cup of tea or coffee, whatever the case may be, whatever it is, for the first date or two. Um, and there's plenty of people that will go out to dinner and wake up with the person. That's not my idea of dating and hasn't been probably since I stopped drinking, which was at the age of 22. I like to get to know the person. I like to get to know their likes, their dislikes, their what they wanna do or not wanna do. And obviously, if they're making it clear to me they're not interested in a relationship, they just wanna have sex, then I have a choice if I wanna do that or not. It's completely a choice I make. But when I'm interested in someone, and I'm walking away from that person, and then I find them kinda popping into my head later on that day, or I get a text from them and I get a little excited, and then, that can either grow and develop into something really beautiful, or after a while, you learn more about the person, and then you have this feeling of like, ugh, I, I don't like knowing that. So you really have to, like I said, know yourself. A lot of people have triggers, a lot of people have traumas, a lot of people have a lot of luggage they're walking around with, and a lot of people don't realize they have that luggage. Let's say you grew up in an alcoholic home and you meet a guy that only has like one drink at dinner, and you're like, okay, this is nice. And maybe you go out and he ends up getting drunk, and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And it's not necessarily that guy that got drunk that one time. You're now all of your pain is being triggered. And, maybe that was the one time that he drank too much and he typically doesn't do that. And you have a choice there to realize it's like, okay, is this someone like my father? Or is this someone that's reminding me of my father? And it's an opportunity to do some work. Because I do think healing can't really happen on its own. Healing usually happens with another person. And a lot of times if you're blessed to have the opportunity to meet someone who has different wounds, it's hard when both people have the same wounds. If both people are jealous and if both people, are obsessive, it can feel magical. It can feel like, oh my God, I've never felt this before. I when I hear someone say that, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. That's usually going to be a toxic relationship. And clearly, the two people that are in it must need to have some more pain. But if, let's say, if you had abandonment issues and your partner, was insecure in other areas, when your abandonment stuff comes up, the other person can hold space for that. And when the other person is insecure or has some insecurities, you can hold space for them. And you start to help each other grow and evolve versus both being toxic together. So again, know yourself, get to know the person you're sitting across from, and if you choose to just I'm not sure if you guys are match made anymore, and or someone has promised you, what the case may be. If you want to continue doing that, and that's fine. But I would never say, well, this is what it was like for me growing up, so therefore I'm going to continue it. I've developed a whole different, I moved to another country. I think that helped as well. But I also have a very different way of seeing things today because I've learned about me and I've learned what makes me tick. I know how I'm wired. I know what feels good. I know what doesn't. And I think it really all starts with yourself and not looking for that trophy wife or that rich husband, because that's probably masking some wounds that need to get worked through. That doesn't mean that you don't have this beautiful wife and a rich husband, but understand the attraction. Is it a toxic attraction? Is it trauma bonding? Or am I operating from a healed, evolved place?
All these. I
Back
mean,
to you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. My question is, a happily married couple, like have getting together, or maybe they don't. But I mean, they are happily married. Everything is so well and organized, and both families are also happy beyond man and wife also. Was was that which messes up generally? Was that is happening 10 out of 10 or 10 out of 5 out of 10 times? Was that? Is it expectation? Is it like the
Well, I'm
testosterone?
sorry, tell me what the question is again.
What does mess up with the relationship?
What messes it up?
Yeah.
Oh, the complete opposite, really, of dishonesty, disloyal, not being true to yourself, because relationships are all about evolving and changing. I was talking to a lady recently, and she happens to be from Ireland, and so is her husband. And she was telling me her husband was so proud of himself when he said to her the other day, I haven't changed a bit. And this was like 30 years of marriage. And he's like, you're the one that's changing. And he's just got such an interesting way of looking at that. He's so proud of the fact that he hasn't changed in 30 years. Meanwhile, they have lived in different countries, they have they have kids. And almost every year, one of the things that I recommend with couples, whether it's on their anniversary or whether it's some, birthday or whatever, to check in with each other. Because who I was 7 years ago when I met Steve, I'm very different. Some aspects of me are the same, but I hope I'm more evolved. I hope I'm more mature. I definitely have more ideas. I definitely have more writings and ideas. And Steve I know has evolved, and for me, being aware as I am, I don't have to like do the sitting down and ask him, questions. I can see it, I can sense it, I can feel it. And he's not as plugged in as I am. This is not his world at all. He enjoys that I'm, you know, the one that does most of the talking for us in this department. Um, but really, when it starts to break down, is when you stop being honest with yourself or your partner. And when someone has their first child, now you're starting a brand new marriage. Someone has a second child, that's a brand new marriage. You've never been with this woman with one child before. So, of course, there's going to be changes. You've never been with this woman now with two children. Of course, there's going to be changes. Changes, new energy, new awareness. More than likely, the parents are not going to be getting or giving one another as much attention because now you got, one or two or three little kids that are, pulling at you and need you. And they really do need that. And a lot of times, it's why people get divorced, when the last kid moves out of the house, or we're going to tolerate each other till then. And it's not because of the kids, but it's because the parents lost sight of each other. They didn't make time for one another. It's like I think you always need to keep dating one another, and it definitely can't be as frequent and often. Nothing can be as frequent and often when you add children into the home. But it's a matter of, reconnecting with one another. What are your expectations? I always say unmet expectations are resentments turned upside down. A lot of times the guy wants the woman to stay the same and stay in shape and do whatever she was doing before she had a kid. But meanwhile, she probably doesn't have time to even take a shower on her own. So it's a matter of, if the partner wants to, continue dating, maybe find a babysitter and just say, "Hey, I've planned a date for us," so they feel cared for and they can get out of that role of just being a mom, even if they love being a mom and they've chosen to be an at-home mom. The husband still goes to work. He's still in the There's two very different lives now, who they were when they were dating, who they were after they got married, they're becoming, in year one of a child. Then you have two kids and three kids. You're constantly changing and evolving. You can tell yourself, well, no, I'm staying the same. You can't possibly be the same person. I hope you're not the same person you were when you were dating, when you now have three kids. But it's a matter of continuing to have that respect for one another, compassion, still making one another feel safe, giving each other the attention they need, being kind, accepting of what is, and I know that's hard to do, but when you don't do it, you're going to pay a price.
Wow, that's amazing. One's heart never grows. I mean, it's always 16 years. I mean, it doesn't enter the 17th year, even if you're 80 or 180, whatever. So that's cool for emotional attachment or having warmth of relationship is cool. But like if one is immature and not taking the responsibility, as you said, so I mean, it's resonant with my heart. Like uh, with a kid or two or three and four kids, it's a new marriage. It's altogether a new era, a new dawn of your life, and you're maturing, you're growing, like you're going from one destination to another, and so yeah, it has to be stronger. The family bond has to be more, just because and the time that you spend together. But how about those who still live?
Say that again. I'm sorry, the last piece.
How about those, despite all this, having four kids and still living? What's that?
I'm misunderstanding
Or
what you're asking.
someone who would leave the relationship despite having four kids, or like one,
Oh,
two, three, four kids, or having certain number of kids and still living.
yeah.
What could
Yeah.
possibly be the reason for?
So again, let's say let's say it was your brother's wife, for instance, and you have kid number one, kid number two, kid number three, kid number four, and then the wife wants to leave. Both of you probably have been unplugged in that relationship to not have seen the signs, or why continue having children? And I'm sure these, let's say the four kids are already here, they're absolutely beautiful. You can't imagine life without them. But why keep having child after child after child, knowing somewhere in the back of your mind that both of you are not on the same page? I mean, I know how kids are born. So it's a matter of like, we just want two, and then oops, got pregnant, got a third one. Again, it's a matter of communicating with one another. But you can't tell me that one day, you woke up and your brother's wife had wanted out and she's got four kids. You can't tell me unless your brother's head was in the sand. Like, what was he not? confronting? What was he not seeing? What was he not like being honest about him with himself about it? Because that doesn't happen, overnight. That disconnect doesn't happen overnight. And I think for a woman to just want to like leave her past behind, including the kids, or maybe see them once in a while and start a new life, it probably is from an immature part because I think a mature mom, I mean, I'm not even a mom, so I can't, I can't really speak on this directly, but I can't imagine a mom who's evolved and selfless and really, when you have children, you're basically you need to kind of put them first and foremost. I know it's hard to always do that because you have to work and whatnot, but really that is a responsibility of both parents. You bring those kids into the world, you are responsible for them, like it or not. You're responsible for them till, 18, I guess, in this country. Um, and I know people that'll always have the door open for their kids and feel a sense of responsibility even after they're 18 when they're 38. So it is a matter of, you know, what did, let's say your brother, he's a good example. Let's say it was your brother. What did he miss? Why wasn't he more plugged in to that relationship? Did he not see that his wife was unhappy? Or does she fake it? And it's hard because I mean, if I was sitting with her, there's probably a lot of questions I would ask her. I would learn about where she's at. And she might be, really enjoying her new freedom and I guess good for her. But I think it's sad for the kids that she brought into this world, that she gave birth to. Um, even if the children have an amazing dad, he can't be their mother. So I do think there'll be a price that they are paying and will pay, especially if there's little girls in the relationship, because I think the same sex relationship is probably the most important, like the daughter and mom or son and dad. um, Unfortunately, it happens, but it's hard to know why without asking the person. But also, I remember another couple one time, they didn't have kids, but he told me he was blown away when his wife came home one day. They had a beautiful house, they had the dogs, they had the picket fence and the cars in the garage. And he was like blown away that she asked for a divorce. My question to him was, where have you been? Like, I know when someone doesn't like me, not to mention when someone wants to divorce me. So I think both people need to take ownership and be responsible about their part. Like, what energy were you bringing into this marriage every day? If you came home day after day exhausted from the office, or if your brother just didn't have the same appreciation, or there's just a whole litany of things, and without really being able to find out what wounds each people are carrying that didn't get resolved, then it's so easy to just like up the marriage and I know some people, they're on their fourth marriage, and some have kids along the way and some haven't, and it's like some people just don't want to be alone. Some people don't want to take responsibility. But if you don't end up dealing with your stuff, you're going to end up with someone else and it may not work out either. And you're going to wonder why. And why is because you didn't look at the mirror in yourself. Back to you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's very easy for someone to defend when other party is not available. So as I try to be honest, I can't say I can't proclaim here, but I mean the example you've been quoting so far, it's like the having kids or not having kids. So being a woman, you can very well understand who is who's the boss for the decision. Although it takes two hands to clap for sure, yes. But I mean it's the woman to carry a kid or not to take. I mean that's the
Well, how does she get pregnant in the first place?
Yeah, I mean that's I said. I mean that's what I'm telling, that it takes two hands to clap. That's true. But I mean I mean, you know what happens before that keeps happening throughout the life. But you don't keep having kids every year. But that's happening every. Um, I mean that's a regular feature. But having
Well,
kids.
every time a couple decides to have unprotected sex,
Mm,
and especially if she's ovulating, and if you know when she's ovulating, which is also probably the time she's going to want to desire it the most, but it's also going to be the time where she's most viable to get pregnant again. So both of you have that
yeah, that's
responsibility.
true. I mean that's why I mean I started open up the discussion for this part, that it has to be the both part. I mean, it can't be one
Hmm.
person can't say that. I mean, but again, if we go for the bigger responsibility or the more, just because the woman has to go through the process, which is very difficult, giving a birth is very difficult. I've seen this, but I mean, it's again. I mean, if this is the lady got to respond to this, but again, my question is, what makes, I mean how come I like, I mean is it humanly possible having kids and everything and still falling in love with someone else? I mean, what's that? I mean, how, I mean, is it
You
human,
see
or
it
like
all.
it is humanly possible, or like, I mean, if at all one believes in love, so how about the love for the kids? How about love for the family? How about the love for and the dignity and what's that? I mean, is it infatuation only? It's like something else is a stronger notion, some other notions. This can't be. I mean, to me, I mean, it's all to my understanding only. Is it love or like it's something else?
What is what?
Like, I mean, leaving the kids, a family,
Oh, you're
and
talking about the wife that leaves the marriage and moves on
correct.
with someone
Yeah.
else. Yeah, so I definitely think we can love more than one person. I think we love them differently. I think it comes from the same muscle, our heart. But you can love 6, 7, 8. You can love many, many times. My partner has been married twice. He's got 4 daughters. He has a tremendous amount of love for his daughters, and respect for his ex-wives. Um, and yet today he's got a very different love with me, for me, than the other 2. So, and I've had love in the past that's different than what I have for Steve. And I'm not even judging it as a better, good, bad, or whatever, but it's just different. And I think our heart has that capacity to truly love another person. So yes, I do think it's possible. It could also be lust. Lust. I used to think if lust is not love, I want to have nothing to do with it because I loved that immature infatuation, lust. I used to think that was like so exciting. And today I look back, as a more mature woman, and I'm glad I experienced it. It was wonderful. But it wasn't love. It wasn't genuine. It wasn't coming from a solid, evolved place. It was just coming from like infatuation, butterflies. But when you talk about this person who, has 3 or 4 kids and have left them for the most part with her former husband and moved on and loved someone else, I definitely believe that is possible, that they can love someone else in a different way. I think how she loves each child is different. There are times when people they have a different connection with each child, and one might say, well, you love him more than me, and it's not about a more or less, it's just different. So there's different ways of loving. um, and I would just encourage the parent who is with the children to remind the kids that mom loves you. It's like, and that she always will love you. And it's hard because it's like, well, if she loved me, she'd do A, B, and C. but she loves the way in the way she loves, you know. I think the worst thing to do is to say, you know, your mom doesn't love you. If she did, she'd be doing what I do. And that's really going to hurt the kids down the road. They'll figure it out themselves down the road. Uh, but they don't want to have memories of dad bashing their mom, because then it's you that they'll end up resenting. It's the parent who's bad mouthing the mom that they'll end up, you know, resenting. Just do the right thing. You know, it's like you cannot change people. It's hard to accept what is. It's hard to, it doesn't mean you're going to sit back and like it when you accept something. It's a matter of accepting it is the way it is. It doesn't mean it's going to be this way forever. Try and stay in the day, give what you can, but take care of yourself. Keep your own tank fueled. Love yourself first and foremost, or you'll have nothing to give. Walking around with resentment is draining that same place that needs your love instead. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's like kind of a lag here. Again, thank you so much for diving deep into the mystery of love and infatuation, other notions, and for the, I mean, giving examples for the people who get kids and then separates. So it's okay to have love more than once. So happy to
Mhm.
know that. That's cool. I mean, if it's humanly possible, that's cool. I mean, so that people keep loving each other and uh, growing the society, in a better manner, so that we can live in harmony and in peace, prosperity, and so that's abundance of relationship from McNamara.
And know that it's a different love. Don't expect one love to be the same, because if you had like a magical obsession love with someone, and now you're with someone where the love is different, and you're comparing, you're never allowing yourself to fully be with that person. And you're lying to them and yourself. And you're holding on to a fantasy that was never actually a reality. And this is just all my opinion, by the way.
Wow! But since you're a relationship coach, you've written a book, and you've been through different civilizations too. You've been
Hmm.
traveling, and so it's been like long time. You're making relationships better. You've got lots of testimonials too. So I really
Hmm.
respect the knowledge you have, the experience we have. So it was great sharing and
Thank you.
amazing discussion. I enjoyed each bit of it, and honestly,
Always.
it was. And lastly, I would like you to give us the a small composition about how should parents behave before the kids, so that we should have a stronger bonds between the family, and let's grow. It's kind of growing the whole society into very positive cohesion for the cooperation, collaboration, for the creation of the better future. Back to you.
Yeah, I do think the kids need to feel loved by both parents. And if they feel loved by both parents, they need to feel loved and seen. And if they feel that from both parents, you almost need to put aside, you know, the feelings you have about the wife or the woman you were married to, because that can be, you know, especially if you don't, you know, you don't want to be not with them anymore. There's going to be a lot of feelings you have, but the children do not need to experience that. Children do not ever need to be brought into adult situations. The adults need to figure out how to just leave their own anger and resentments if they haven't dealt with it elsewhere. And when you're in the company of kids, whether it's a birthday party or a wedding or a christening or something, just decide to be respectful. And you being disrespectful to your ex-wife really speaks volumes about you, and vice versa. If your ex-wife is, you know, being cold or crabby or whatever, that really speaks volumes about her. and yet you both think it's the other person. So hold yourself at a higher energy, hold yourself with respect, with dignity, and see the kids as just beautiful little souls that really, they need to have both parents. I think every child needs both parents, unless, of course, it's abuse and, you know, obviously abuse or any of that kind of neglect going on. But kids need parents. They need both of them. They need to know that they are wanted, loved. And if the both adults just decide to see one another as the children's father, as the children's mom, and just see them in that light versus this is my ex-husband or ex-wife who's a blah blah blah. um, Let go of that resentment because it only hurts you and it only hurts the kids. The person that's carrying the resentment is the one that needs to let it go, not wait for the other person to change. Don't ever sit back waiting for an amends to let go of something. Take the high road, operate from a higher energy, love and respect yourself. This is not a dress rehearsal. We're not going to come around in this body in this lifetime again. And those little kids are really precious, precious souls that came through you both, and they're of you. You don't own them, but you certainly are the ones that they chose for you to guide them in the right direction, put the light on for them when it's dark, have them feel safe. And when parents are fighting, they don't feel safe. They blame themselves. When parents are like not talking, they think they did something wrong. So, sometimes you think, well, I'm staying together for the kids. And meanwhile, you're teaching the kids, just stick it out together, even though you don't like each other, you're not respecting each other. And then you're teaching them that. So even though it's hard sometimes for kids to have two homes and two moms and then a stepmom and a stepdad, it can be all very, very confusing. But at the same time, if there's respect for yourself first and for one another, then they're going to be okay. And just be honest with them at age appropriate. They don't need to know that mommy had an affair. They don't need to know that daddy had an affair. That is adult situations. That is adult stories. Children do not need to be dragged in to adult situations. Children need to be children.
Oh wow, that children. I mean, this is hashtag. Children needs to be children. That's so innocent. This is so cute, and this is amazing. Thank you so much, Concepta
My
Magnamera.
pleasure.
And when we are seeing next, and in my next session,
Uh,
I like to unlock the lock, and I want to crack the codes, whatever has happened in the past.
what are we doing? Unlocking.
Yeah, there are certain things that has happened in the. As I was going through your profile, you're also master of cracking the codes or unlocking the locks, which has happened in someone's past, and they are locked there, and you
Oh, yeah,
unlock.
I think I describe it as patterns, the
Yeah,
patterns that we get locked into.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't do much about codes, but yeah, it's unlocking the thoughts. It's like yourself, you always say, well, in this country, we blah, blah, blah. In this net, we do. That's locked into your psychic. So you have an opportunity to break that code or break that pattern. Just because you've done it for 5,000 years, does that mean you got to keep doing it? Is it working for you? Most of the time you say no. So then you need to start to change and develop into a more solid you. It's 2026. You can't be operating from something that worked in 2006 or the 1900s. Just because it worked back then, because people are evolving and changing and growing. We have more needs. We're now voicing our needs. I mean, there was a time women couldn't vote. There was a time that, a pregnant woman in Ireland would hide behind a half door because of the shame. Meanwhile, they're like married, but still, it's like, and now people are receiving communion and their belly is about to explode. So it's changing. You got to change with the times and be comfortable changing with it. But we will do a deeper dive into, like, when you talk about changing codes, it's not really the language I speak, because I work with people that do change codes, but they're in a much different genre and it's more of an energy world. But I certainly understand patterns and how we get locked into patterns and belief systems, which is what we're building today on. And you need to really check in and say, let me just go back in your mind and see, where was this developed? Is this still working for me? Well, I'm going to stay in this marriage because my parents stayed in the marriage. We got to do this because it was done for 500 years. It's like, no, no, it's change is good. Change is necessary. Change, taxes, and death are guarantees in Massachusetts and probably
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, great. What we missed today was like the energy, the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. But I mean, what you were giving us the words of wisdom, and that were amazing. We enjoyed each bit of the conversation. It's so powerful. It's so
Mm,
amazing. It's like it's like setting one free, because we are locked into certain patterns. When we get to know our mind, oh my goodness! I mean, and lastly, as we were talking earlier discussions and earlier conversations, you were cracking the codes of the how women emotionally feel, whereas the male, they cover themselves with logical reasoning. So that's
mm,
the best mismatch. So so learning a lot. This is a lot of things are unfolding between our conversations, and if we continue, so we'll evolve it into institution of stronger marriages. Thank you so much,
mm.
McNamara, for being on the show. See you next again, and bye bye.
Yes. Bye bye.
Stay blessed.